Welcome to another edition of Inside Anarchy, everyone. I'm Sean Orleans. On today's episode, we conclude our interview with Gary J. Stick around. During the close of NWL and then the restoration of Anarchy, divorce number 2 happens. How does that affect you as Anarchy is, trying to get back on its feet again, and Matt Jackson and other people are looking to Gary to be a guy at the top of the card, be a leader both in the ring and in the locker room? Like, how does that affect you there?
The divorce number 2 didn't happen until like Anarchy had already been running on its way back. Like the second run of Anarchy, divorce time wasn't until a little bit in, but like that affected me a lot. It's one of those things where like I'm pretty sure Matt just likes to fuck with me and put pressure on me to see what I can do and what I can handle. But at the end of the day, he's just pushing me, and he just wants to see the best for me. And he wants me to go out there and do my best. So like Anarchy makes its return. Things are going really good, and then like I would say the summer of Anarchy coming back, or I'm not great with dates, so like during that time, things in my second marriage, which affected me a lot more than my first. So like the second marriage meant a lot more to me than anything else, and like that was another really dark time in my life personally, and not a lot of people know, but like there's a lot of times where I contemplating just like disappearing or giving up. I didn't want to do anything with my life. I just wanted to get my car and drive off and never be seen again, because mentally I couldn't deal with shit. The fact of like sometimes pressure of wrestling, and then just dealing with a real life, marriage that someone who I loved and like thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, and like, you knew her, you were around her, she got along with everybody. She was awesome.
Yeah.
That fucked with me a lot. Like, having the pressure of that, and then, a real-time, full-time job I was due during the week. I'd work in a warehouse, 40-plus hours a week, on top of my marriage failing, and then still trying to keep Gary J, the wrestler, alive. That did a lot to me, and, like, I give a lot of credit to you, actually, because there was a time where I was in a really bad spot, and I called you, and I was like, hey, man, I know you started seeing a therapist, and you gave me information that I really believe helped save me at the very end there. Like the really tail end of my marriage and divorce, it saved me, because I had a conversation with my now ex-wife, Brittany, and like we were talking, and she's like, there were times where you were so depressed and you were like a skeleton of who you were. I thought I would come home from work and you'd be dead. And like having someone that you love tell you that they thought you were going to kill yourself or be dead, that fucks with you.
Yeah.
A lot. To think that you were in that bad a shape that someone thought you were going to kill yourself.
Right.
So she's like, I really think you should go to therapy. And I was like, I think you're 100% right. And I give credit to you for giving me that information. And I started going to therapy. And I honestly think it's probably one of the best fucking decisions I've ever made. And like, I think everybody should go to a therapist.
Absolutely.
Because everybody can work through something and everybody can figure something out. And like, that really helped me dig up a lot of my childhood, but like in a good way of realizing that not everything's my fault. Shit happens, and sometimes I'm an idiot, and it is my fault, but not everything's my fault. So I had all that going on until basically August of last year, which isn't that long ago.
Right.
So August of last year, anything before that, I was dealing with separation, divorce, fucking shitty job, but it paid the bills. And then finally, I started going to therapy. And then I would say February of last year, one morning I was in a weird spot. I was finally realizing, you know what, like I'm divorced. This is over. Well, like things I got to change. And like I was still in a weird spot where one morning I just told my boss, hey, I'm done. I'm never coming back to work. And I quit my job at just one morning on a whim. And then I've been off the races with wrestling and in part-time jobs since.
I think it's good that you mention the getting therapy. I was going to ask you about that. It's a good thing to recognize you need help. It's okay to go out and get help. You can get clarity from it, get some sort of closure or better understanding about who you are with that.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you for bringing it up unprompted and just like explaining how it helped you and worked with you.
Oh, absolutely. Like I tell people all the time, like it's okay to tell someone in a third party about all your shit and problems. It actually feels better if they don't know about it because they don't know anything about the situation. That is their job. They are professionals.
Right.
And if you need to talk and bitch and rave and cry and throw fits, that's what they're there for. So like, and it taught me it's okay to have emotion. I learned to actually show emotion through a lot of this, and it took me that long. It took me all that bullshit in my childhood, and it took me all the bullshit in my teenage years and my early 20s to finally realize that, like, you are now 34 years old and you can finally start to show emotion, and it's okay. It's not a weakness. You're not a fucking robot, ironically, you know?
Yeah. So Anarchy's back. The divorce happens. You get therapy. You start coming out of like your own funk. You had a 3-match run at the start of 2019 where you wrestled Nick Gage, Kylie Ray, and then the next show you wrestled Thomas Shire, in which he bleeds buckets. And oh, by the way, you get UFO'd into the 4th or 5th row, crash through some chairs, and land on the floor from about 6 feet, 7 feet in the air. Do you feel that therapy opened you up as a performer, as a wrestler?
Yeah, I totally think it did. It really put me on a different level mentally. And like the Nick Gage war was insane. But then basically on a moment's notice, you had to get there with Kylie Ray, who to me is one of the best professional wrestlers in the world, bar none. And like, side story, this is how terrible with dates I am. I signed my divorce papers with my ex-wife the day I went to Girls Night Only and wrestled Kylie Ray. So I did that, and then I went to the building. So, like, that's how terrible a date. So let's say divorce is that old now. But that's the day I signed divorce papers.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
even I'd forgotten that. Wow.
Yeah, so I had that, and then I had to go in there and mentally knowingly, I had to go in there and, you know, wrestle someone who I consider one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Right.
That moment just happened.
And how much notice did you have that you were going to be wrestling Kylie Ray that day?
A couple days, maybe. I think it was up, and then you know, obviously, going there with Thomas Shire, who's someone I've known for a long, long time as well. You know, but now there's pressure on me to go. You got to do something, and you know, boom.
You have one of the more popular entrances in independent wrestling, I would say. Joker and the Thief by Wolfmother. First of all, what made you pick that song as your entrance?
I was watching The Hangover one night, and I believe it's in the first one, and it was playing, and I'm like, oh man, like, I think this is when I had the Boss faction, and then I went heel on Fitchett, and then I was like, I need to switch it up instead of Black Label Society, come on, which is, that's older. I was like, I need something new. And then like, once again, I didn't realize how over it would get as the years went on. And then obviously now it's become one of the staples of the Alton shows, to where like people are clapping and then pounding on the mat. Like, it's one of those things where I didn't plan all that. It just kind of naturally happened.
Right. So February 21st, the Strong Style Tournament, you win the Strong Style Tournament, and then you call out Jeremy Wyatt for the title match. That was supposed to happen March 28th, and then that gets canceled because, the pandemic and everything.
Yep.
People were really looking forward to seeing you and Wyatt go at it in Spalding Hall. The two of you wrestled a few months prior in Kansas City and went to an hour-long draw. I mean, nothing was resolved between you and Wyatt. So, I've rambled too much here, but what were you thinking going into the now canceled March event?
The only thing on my mind was beating Jeremy Wyatt. Jeremy Wyatt's not very liked by a lot of people, obviously. Promoters, wrestlers, most fans. But you can't deny the fact that Jeremy Wyatt is undoubtedly, if not one of the best professional wrestlers today, right now. So, like, going in there with one idea and one plan, that was to beat him and take that title. Like, there's really no telling what would have happened now because the event never happened. Thank you, virus. But it's one of those things where there was no other game plan. There was no other result in my mind. I had to go in there and beat him, and that's what I was going to do.
He has long since eclipsed the record for most consecutive title defenses. He has the second longest title reign in the belt's history. At present, he is at 559 days when we're recording this. You sit at 862. How do you feel knowing that he was just marching toward 800 days, and then two, with the pandemic the way it is and the way things look, there's no telling when there will be an opportunity for him to defend the belt. This just keeps going. His title reign essentially continues unabated because of it. So how do you feel about all of that?
Obviously, like, my lineage and like my legacy that I leave in St. Louis Anarchy, people consider me to be one of the pillars of St. Louis wrestling, So, like, it's very important to me. Like, my reputation, especially in that building, is one of the biggest things that comes to mind when you think of Jeremy Wyatt possibly passing my title reign over, what, 800? How many days? 800?
862.
862 days I was champion. And he's at 500?
559.
559.
When we're recording this.
And with everything going on right now, with pretty much the whole world right now frozen because of this, COVID-19, there's no telling when the next show is, and there's no telling when the next title defense for him is. So at this point, I have to realistically go, you know what? If he passes your reign, not the end of the world. But I guarantee one thing. When I stand across a ring from him, whenever that happens, that title reign will be over.
Do you want him at that first show, or are you saying, or would you be comfortable saying, let's wait another month or another event or whatever?
There is going to be a point, hopefully this year, where he's standing across the ring from me, and we're going to find out who the better man is. I can't guarantee what that date is or when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, shit's going to go down.
You mentioned being considered one of the pillars of St. Louis wrestling. When do you remember that sort of becoming a thing? And do you feel a certain responsibility having that label?
Yes. Like, I think Jason Klein is the one that kind of started saying it and then made that cool little poster or flyer or banner or graphic. But then other people kind of start going with it. And, like, it's one of those things where, like, I jokingly say, oh, yeah, we're the Pillars of Anarchy. But, like, if anybody in the area sees that, and that should light a fire under their ass. That should go, I want to be in their spot, because one day those pillars aren't going to be around. Why wouldn't you want to be the top guy in your area and then go from the top guy in your area to the top guy in other areas, or the territories, as I always call it, in 2020? Like, So yeah, I guess there's like a responsibility, but to me, if you're better than me and you want to prove it, step up. Obviously, you can't do that right now, but the things you could be doing right now are entertaining your people, entertaining fans, working on yourself, resting your body, which I've been doing an awful lot. There's an awful lot of Gary walking around and stretching and going on hikes and doing everything he can, non-physical, in ring, because we all know there's a lot of miles on my body. There's a lot of punishment I put on my body for the entertainment of other people. And I have no problem with that, but it's catching up, and it's catching up fast. So this time off has allowed me to finally take a break. I think I was telling you the other day, this is the first time in 17 years I've been out of the ring this long, if that's part of a show or at training. So I haven't been in a ring in over a month. So this is the first time I've really got to go, this sucks, but there's other things I can do to better myself when things come back. There's things that the company can do as a whole just to entertain people, because people are going through shitty times. And I hope at the end of the day, if there's one message I can send to any wrestling fan or St. Louis Anarchy fan, that's don't worry, have faith, stay positive, stay away from people 6 feet. Do anything in your power to have a good day. Wake up every day. Go, you know what? The world's frozen. Our president's an idiot. Yada, yada, yada. There's so much negative. Pick one positive thing and focus on that. Like, you know what? I'm going to watch one of my favorite wrestling pay-per-views tonight. Or you know what? I'm going to listen to my favorite band on the way to work. Or you know what? I'm going to go for a run today. Or I'm going to work out at my house. Do what you have to do to keep happy. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. And you have to realize that we're going through this national COVID-19 thing where, like, it's not going to go away anytime soon, in my opinion. So you live with yourself every day. Why not be happy?
That would be a very good way to end this. However, I did have one more question, and I wish I'd thought of asking it before that, because, again, that is a beautiful sentiment. Late last year, I recorded you saying you have put a lot of miles on your body, and you've alluded to it just then. And you were wondering how much longer you could keep doing this. And you alluded to the fact that if you ever won the Gateway Heritage Championship again, that you would retire. Do you still feel that way?
Obviously, a lot of thought went into that, and a lot of thought goes into, like, when I finally do give up. I am still 100% behind that. I'm still 100% behind the fact that whenever I win that title, I can finally say, this is it. I'm done. Thank you. And I can move on. And I can finally step out of my wrestling shoes and step into different shoes, if that be backstage with younger talent, training, or that be something completely different, not even in the wrestling business. But I feel that will be the pinnacle. So, yes, I still am 100% behind that. Now, do things change? And could things change considerably, like in the next year or two? Or when this is all over? Yes. But as of right now, that's how I feel.
Okay. I appreciate you being straightforward there and at least giving a little bit of wiggle room there, because I'm sure there's some fans that would be that are going to be taken aback hearing this. Thank you for taking time out and sitting down for I don't know how long we went, but taking time out and chatting about your life.
No problem, man. Like I said, this is who I am, and, like, I feel sometimes that, like, I get lost in the shuffle of, like, the guy that is goofy and likes cats and hits people. Obviously, that's who I am, but, like, there's reasons why I am the way I am, and I just kind of wanted to share some of that.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. Very appreciative of.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on Old Inside Anarchy.
Yep. All right, everybody. We will be right back after this.
Oh, hey, no, it's okay. Hey, it's just Sam Bigelow. Hey, how are you? I was just setting your alarms so that way you don't miss Anarchy Game Night, which is Mondays at 6 p.m. So I got you taken care of. So just in case you didn't know, so at Anarchy Game Night, we do wrestling trivia, office trivia. We even have Wheel of Anarchy. So it's pretty exciting. And I mean, all your Anarchy superstars are going to be on there. So I mean, I think you should definitely check it out, which is why I'm helping you out. So, hey, now just go back to sleep because, right now, I have 250 other wrestling fans to go see. So, I think I'm just gonna skedaddle. So just don't you worry about that. I was here, okay? Okay. Oh, wait, oh my God, is this your bear? I have one too. I call him Mr. Snuggle. Boundaries. Because I did sneak it. Okay, remember, Anarchy Game Night, Monday, 6 p.m. Okay.
That's going to do it for our 3-part interview series with Gary J. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow St. Louis Anarchy on Facebook and Twitter, and on Patreon at Anarchy STL. For everybody at Inside Anarchy, I'm Sean Orleans. We'll see you around.